Hello everyone and welcome back to Deadly Destinations. Tonight, we unravel a series of chilling and unexplained tragedies that turn paradise into a place of panic. This is the story of the mysterious deaths of American tourists in the Dominican Republic, a country known for its crystal-clear waters and all-inclusive resorts, but where, for a brief and harrowing period, vacations ended in body bags and unanswered questions. Viewer discretion is advised. In 2018 and 2019, the Dominican Republic was one of the most visited destinations in the Caribbean, drawing over 6 million tourists a year. Americans made up the largest portion of that number, with many flocking to Punta Cana, La Romana, and Santo Domingo for sun, sand, and stress-free luxury. But beginning in the summer of 2018, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. 10 U.S. tourists, previously healthy and in good spirits, died suddenly and under often mysterious circumstances, all within a single year. Each case, on its own, might have been dismissed as tragic but isolated. But together, they painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. Let's begin with one of the earliest known cases. In June 2018, 67-year-old Yvette Monique Sport of Pennsylvania checked into the Bahia Principe Resort in Punta Cana. That night, she reportedly drank a beverage from the minibar, then went to bed. She never woke up. Her family said she had no known health issues. The cause of death was listed as a heart attack. Nearly identical scenarios followed. In April 2019, 67-year-old Robert Bell Wallace, also from California, fell ill shortly after drinking a scotch from his minibar at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Punta Cana. He died just days later. Again, the cause was labeled as organ failure, but with no toxicology follow-up provided to the family. In May 2019, a truly devastating event occurred. A couple, Cynthia Day, 49, and Nathaniel Holmes, 63, were found dead in their room at the Grand Bahia Principe La Romana. Both were reportedly in good health before the trip. Autopsies claimed respiratory failure and pulmonary edema, but family members were skeptical. Just days before, another American, Miranda Schaup-Werner, 41, collapsed and died at the same resort after having a drink from the minibar. 5 deaths, same region, same time frame, similar symptoms. Families began speaking out. They demanded answers but were met with vague autopsy reports, limited communication, and resistance from local authorities. In total, at least 10 American tourists died in the Dominican Republic between June 2018 and August 2019, all in resort areas, all while on vacation, most after consuming food or drinks from hotel minibars, most with eerily similar autopsy findings: pulmonary edema, respiratory failure, or cardiac arrest. Among the other victims were Layla Cox, 53, who died in her hotel room in Santo Domingo in June 2019. Officials claimed a heart attack. Joseph Allen, 55, found dead in his hotel room in Sosua just a week later. He had complained of feeling hot and sweaty. John Corcoran, a 56-year-old retired police officer who died under unclear circumstances at a resort in April 2019. David Harrison, 45, who collapsed in July 2018 at the Hard Rock Hotel after reportedly becoming suddenly ill. By mid-2019, the news media seized on the growing pattern. Headlines blared about mysterious deaths in paradise. Social media swirled with theories: tainted alcohol, carbon monoxide leaks, pesticide poisoning, counterfeit medications, and the similarities were impossible to ignore. 9 of the 10 deaths occurred in resorts. 6 occurred in hotels linked to the Bahia Principe or Hard Rock brands. In several cases, victims had consumed drinks from their hotel minibar shortly before falling ill. Autopsies repeatedly cited pulmonary edema and cardiac failure, a pattern too precise for coincidence. Medical experts and toxicologists began weighing in. Some suggested that organophosphate poisoning from chemicals like pesticides or fumigants could have produced symptoms consistent with the autopsy reports. Others suspected methanol, a toxic alcohol sometimes found in bootleg liquor, might be involved. Minibar drinks quickly became the center of speculation. Victims like Miranda Schaupwerner, Robert Wallace, and others reportedly fell ill shortly after consuming liquor from their rooms. Could the supply chain for hotel alcohol have been compromised? Investigative reports hinted at troubling details. Some hotels in the region outsourced their liquor stock to third-party vendors. These vendors were not always monitored for quality control. In the Dominican Republic, alcohol adulteration, particularly the addition of methanol to increase volume and potency, has been documented before, including in local news reports. Though the FBI eventually claimed that no toxic substances were found in the few victims they tested, they only publicly disclosed 3 cases, and those results came after months of delay. Skeptics questioned whether samples had degraded or whether full-spectrum toxicology testing had even been performed. Families of the deceased were not convinced. Some reported that the bodies had been embalmed before they could request independent autopsies. In the case of Miranda Schaupwerner, her family said the hotel and local authorities were dismissive and quick to close the investigation. The bodies of Cynthia Day and Nathaniel Holmes were similarly released without advanced toxicology. Then there were the logistical coincidences. Some victims had eerily similar symptoms: nausea, vomiting, chest pains, just hours before death. Several occurred in the same chain of resorts. Even the timeline raised eyebrows. Between April and June 2019, 6 U.S. tourists died under similar circumstances. Meanwhile, a hotel employee at the Grand Bahia Príncipe La Romana told a local paper that insecticides and cleaning chemicals were often used liberally in guest rooms, sometimes without allowing time for proper ventilation. Others spoke of poorly maintained AC systems that could have exposed guests to toxic agents like chlorpyrifos, a neurotoxic pesticide banned in the US, but still used elsewhere. By July 2019, travel cancellations were rampant. The Dominican Ministry of Tourism launched an aggressive PR campaign, claiming American media had exaggerated the risks. They published statistics suggesting the mortality rate for tourists was no higher than expected, but that did little to soothe the families of the deceased, or the millions of travelers suddenly questioning the safety of their summer getaways. Despite the fear and speculation, no definitive cause was ever declared for the deaths as a group. Each was treated as an individual tragedy. No criminal charges were filed, and by 2020, attention had shifted elsewhere. Yet the core questions remain unanswered. Why were so many American tourists dying suddenly in a short span of time? Why did multiple victims have nearly identical symptoms? And why were families denied full transparency from the beginning? For many, the answer lies not in a singular conspiracy, but in a chilling possibility: a convergence of unsafe alcohol practices, lax hotel oversight, unregulated pesticide use, and a lack of emergency medical response in resort areas. A perfect storm of risk wrapped in the guise of luxury. The Dominican Republic has since taken steps to reassure travelers. Minibars were audited. Some hotels eliminated them entirely. Tourism protocols were updated. But for those who lost a loved one, no policy change can bring closure. Each victim had a story, a life, a family. They came to the island seeking joy. They left behind grief and a mystery that remains unresolved. Sometimes, the greatest threat is not what we can see, but what's being hidden. Thank you for joining us on this somber journey. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to Deadly Destinations, where we explore real stories of travel, tragedy, and the unexplainable. Until next time, stay safe, cherish your loved ones, and remember, the most serene destinations can sometimes harbor the darkest shadows.